Welcome everyone to today's guide on how to kick off your settlement in Manor Lords like a pro. Whether you are a newbie or looking to optimize your early game, choosing the right strategy can make or break your village. In this video, I will walk you through the best ways to start, from setting up your first buildings to describing region taxes, ensuring your settlements thrive from day one. So grab your tools and let's dive in. The world map in Manor Lords is divided into regions. Each region has its own unique resources. This can include food, berries, fish or wild animals, salt, iron, stone or other valuable materials. Your starting region is marked in red. This is where you will begin building your settlement, so it's important to pay attention to the available resources you have. Some resources are marked with a crown icon. This indicates a large deposit that will take a long time to fully extract. In my region, that is berries. Other resources no longer appear on the map because I've already depleted them. The map also shows nearby regions, which you will be able to conquer or claim as your own later in the game. Depending on the scenario, there may also be other lords on the map who control their own regions, as well as bandits. Bandits don't control regions, but they do raid your settlement, stealing anything stored in your warehouses. Alright. We are starting our village with 5 families who need housing, but don't rush to build homes just yet. It's better to begin with a logging camp to gather wood, as well as a hunter camp and a forager hut to start producing food, the essential resources for your village's growth. After that, I recommended building storage facilities so the resources you gather aren't ruined by bad weather. Build a storehouse to keep goods like timber, stone, clothes, weapons, and more. For storing food, construct a granary, and don't forget the marketplace so your villagers can buy products using their own money. You should also build a trading post early on so you can immediately start earning income through trade, but we will talk more about trading in this game later. Once you establish these core buildings, you can begin building houses for your villagers. I suggest not just placing basic homes. Add an extension slot right away so residents can later produce goods on their own property for your village. Once you've built the trading post, you can start trading, one of the most important mechanics in Manor Lords. To begin, assign a family to work there so they can establish a trade route. A good starting point is trading timber planks. To do that, you need to convert chopper logs into planks using the saw pit. You can also sell your large resource deposits, especially if it's not food, or choose to process raw materials into more valuable goods. That's up to you. Another valuable trade option is weapons, which your villagers can produce at home. Remember how I said it's better to build houses with expansion space? This is exactly why. Expanded homes can produce various goods. However, it only makes sense to start selling weapons once your people are fully armed. To make opening new trade routes cheaper, it's smart to first learn trade logistics and then better deals. That is why the smartest way to spend your initial 50 coins is to unlock trade routes as early as possible. Now you might be wondering, what should I spend the money on? I would recommend buying 1 or even 2 additional oxen, since every building requires wood and it's the oxen that haul the timber. This will speed up your construction significantly. Later on, you can also buy a horse at the trading post to speed up both your own deliveries, and the transport of goods to your trade partners. Now let's talk about your villagers and how the approval system works. Each family in your settlement has specific needs for comfort and goods. Once a family moves into a proper household, the game begins tracking whether their needs are being met. If a need is fulfilled, you gain +1 approval point. If not, you get -1 approval point. This is then multiplied by number of families who have their needs met or unmet, and that gives you your total approval rating, which is recalculated every month. Neglecting 1 or 2 needs might still be manageable, but if you ignore your villagers' needs entirely, your settlement is going to collapse very quickly. As your settlement grows, it will face increasingly higher requirements and gain more significance. You can view these requirements by hovering over the region development menu. In general, they come down to the development of your households and their total numbers. When all requirements are met, your settlement level increases, and so does its importance. This grants you +1 point to develop technologies in that region. Settlement development is divided into 4 sectors: extraction, trade, agriculture, and production. Each of these sectors has its own development tree, and it's important to note that each of your regions can and should be developed differently. You should evaluate which resources are abundant in a region and choose technologies accordingly. For example, if a region is rich in iron, you should focus on underground mining and blacksmithing. However, as we discussed earlier, the first technology you should always prioritize is trade logistics. Only after that should you start upgrading technologies that match the resources in your region. As your settlement develops, you will eventually need to upgrade your villagers' households at the very least. In order to reach the status of a small village, small town, or beyond, doing so grants you development points which can be spent on regional progression, as we discussed earlier. What is required to upgrade a household? First, you must meet all the needs of the family living there, and second, you must have the necessary upgrade materials stored in your warehouses. While the materials are usually straightforward, fulfilling family needs is more complex. For example, to provide access to water, you will need to build a well. For spiritually, there must be a church in the region. Households also required access to clothing, food, and fuel from the market. The number of diamonds shown next to each need indicates how many unique types of goods are required. For instance, if there are 2 diamonds next to food, you need at least 2 different types of food available at the market, such as berries and meat, as an example. As your settlement grows, resources may not reach all residents equally. This means you will eventually need to improve your church, and if you're aiming to reach the 3rd household tier, it will take some real effort, especially in the scenarios that involve warfare where resources are much scarcer. Try focusing upgrades on the houses near the center of your village. Those on the outskirts can remain at the first level or be upgraded gradually, depending on your capacity. At tier 1, you can choose from 4 types of yard extension: a vegetable garden, chicken coop, goat pen, or apple orchard. The orchard become available only after unlocking the relevant skill in the regional development tree. The garden and the coop provides food. Chickens produce it consistently regardless of the season or yard size, while the garden yields more the larger the yard. The goat pen gives a small amount of hides, which can be later processed into leather. From tier 2, households can take on artisan professions, carpenter, brewer, blacksmith, and so on. Note that families operating these workshops cannot be assigned to other jobs, they will be fully dedicated to their craft. Lastly, the more advanced the household, the higher the tax revenue it will generate for you in the future. When planning fields for sowing agricultural crops, it's essential to evaluate the productivity of the field location for each crop. If you are not planning to use many fields or the area of fertile land is small, you should consider the location with the understanding that you will be growing several crops on the same field. We have the option to adjust crop rotation on a field, but it's important to note that after growing a crop, the field's fertility decreases. Therefore, we cannot continuously cultivate crops on such fields, and we need to let the field rest for at least 1 year without planting anything. The final section of this guide is dedicated to the Baron's treasury and taxes. This mechanic isn't very obvious to new players, as there are two types of treasuries, the Baron's treasury and the regional treasury. It's not always clear which funds are used for which aspects of the game. The treasury you see listed among the region stats is in fact the region treasury, local funds that are spent on upgrading house plots within that region and on trading goods and livestock. The only way to generate income for this treasury is through trade, so it's important not to overlook it, as we've already discussed earlier. The Baron's treasury, on the other hand, is filled through the taxes and it's centralized, meaning it's not tied to any specific region. With these funds, you can hire mercenaries with monthly upkeep, upgrade your retinue's equipment, or recruit additional soldiers. You can also carry out larger scale actions like founding a new settlement on newly conquered land. To start receiving taxes, you need to upgrade your villagers' homes to level 2. However, as we mentioned earlier, it's not necessary to upgrade all houses. You will also need to build a manor, where you can find a taxes tab that allows you to set the percentage of taxes your villagers will pay. The higher the tax rate, the more discontent it causes, so don't overdo it. And for now, that's everything I wanted to share with you. Keep in mind that the game is still in development and some mechanics like policies, for example, are likely to change over time. So eventually, this guide will need an update. But for now, you can rely on these tips and enjoy this wonderful game. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the like button, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.